Mr. NikhilMahajan, Mr. Rajdeep Paul, and Ms. Jasmeet Reen. We are honored and delighted to have them with us today. These sessions will be moderated by Mr. Mayank, a film critic and winner of Ramnath Mayank, India's top journalism award. He is currently entertainment editor with Midday newspaper in Mumbai, where he writes on cinema and mass culture. With a big round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Mayank on the stage. Before I leave, this is a reminder. We will take questions from the audience in the end. So please keep your questions ready and raise your hands when prompted and do pass on the microphone so that everybody gets it. Now I request Mr. Mike to take over the section. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what I think is an extremely well curated session on the passion of storytelling. We have four directors from different regions of India, or at least making films in four different languages. What's common to all of them is they recently made their first feature film. And the way I imagine it is basically four first time filmmakers meet at a bar in Goa and what conversation do they make with each other. That's really what this panel discussion is going to be about. I am genuinely only the moderator, but the most obvious question that you will ask each other, therefore I must ask the first question is, how difficult or how easy was it? Or at least just take us through the journey of making your first feature film. And I'm going to start with you, Sagar, and then of course take it from there. It's not ladies first, but I think the ladies should have the final word. So, and they will have the final word in this particular case anyway. So I'm going to start with you, Sagar. If you can take us through the journey of your first film, or first feature film.
Namaskar, Lalu. Good afternoon. It is great to be on this platform. Part of me tells me that I've made it, but other part is shivering and a lot of responsibility as well. My journey started as an actor, as a child artist, and became a professional actor. And I was also assisting my father in his documentaries and corporate films. So I learned the technicalities of filmmaking in those as an assistant director. And from then, the acting wasn't that the roles that I wanted weren't coming my way, and I realized that I was making another probably a writer's vision into a reality, another director's vision into a reality. I thought something was missing in me, so I wanted to tell a story, my own story. So that power of storytelling, I realized was to be a writer and a director. So that's how I started with my first short film. And fortunately, my producer, he saw the short film, he really liked it. He's a big commercial film director in Kannada. So he offered me a film, and I'm very grateful that it went well. It's called Dolu. So that's how it all started.
Sagar, you're from Bangalore, and honestly speaking, until KGF came out, and then KGF 2 came out, the blockbusters that both became. And then Kantara happened, which really took the nation by surprise in terms of its box office. Again, I had no idea that Bangalore makes movies in the first place. And of course, I knew about Rajkumar and Puneet Rajkumar. In general, when you talk about the movie industry of that city, compared to, for instance, Chennai or Hyderabad, which are better known movie industries, is it easy to be a filmmaker? Because I have a feeling everybody makes apps in Bangalore. Is the movie industry a mainstream thing to do there as against IT and other sectors?
On an average, every year there are about 300, 350 films made in Kannada.
Wow.
Then the CBFC certified. So out of them, at least, I think only barely you can count on your fingers that is the amount of films that make title money. And one or two make it so huge that change. They put Kannada on the map so that the best people know about it. And but yeah, Kantara and KGF have put us on the map. But there are other filmmakers who are doing such original content. And in fact, Rishabh sir himself produced a film called Shivamma, which is doing very well in the festival circuit now. So I think we were doing films for a certain system which made some money back. There were some formulas, probably the dubbing rights, the satellite rights. So it was about the rights, I think. But now when filmmakers, indie filmmakers are venturing out into different film festivals, now we know we can make content for the content and not to add some forced extra commercial element. So you guys have to watch out for Kannada films. They're going to come now.
So well, 300 plus films in a year, of which very few make money. So clearly it's being made for passion more than paisa, right? I mean, that's really what we're going for in certain senses.
Obviously, yes.
Rajdeep, your journey.
So first of all, like I also feel humbled to be on this stage. Thanks to everyone. Uh, I used to be a software engineer, and I used to work in Infosys, in Bangalore, in Hyderabad, in a lot of places. But I always wanted to be a filmmaker, so I joined film school. And after graduation, I've been making documentaries, feature films. I have won a national award for my first feature length documentary also. There have been previous instances where I have come very close to making my first feature film, but it didn't work out. It took pretty long. Finally, we, we were produced by uh, the oldest functioning film company in India. It's still working, called Aurora Film Corporation. So they have also produced Satyajit Ray's first film. They are the ones who produced our first feature, which was Kalpokko House of Time, and it world premiered in Busan, and then it won the best Bengali film national award this year.
So you said you were working on a film that did not work out.
Yeah,
Actually, that would be the more interesting story then, because what
absolutely.
happened and why did it work out?
Actually, I've got many films which didn't work
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
So just as my graduation film, we made this film called Three on a Bed. It was about a polyamorous tribe, and this was back in 2012, and at that time it was one of the first things which went viral. So there were producers, not big producers, but producers both from Bombay and Delhi who came to Calcutta and they wanted to produce the film. And one of these
What do you mean
producers
went viral? I mean,
on the internet, like
you hadn't made the film yet.
no, we posted the teaser and the trailer, which went viral, not the film.
Right, right.
So they flew to Calcutta, they saw the film, they wanted to make it into a feature. So one of the producers who wanted to do this from Bombay, he was supposed to direct the film here. I won't take names. It's a really big star. In the midway, something happened, and that really big star was replaced by a smaller star. And then he went to film, and it
No, I
was
don't think there are big stars and smaller stars. There are stars and not stars.
no, imagine it was a really big one. So that film flopped, and so his plans to make our film was also tanked. Then much later, one of our projects was in the co-production market, but that also didn't
At
work
the film
out.
bazaar.
At the film bazaar.
Right.
So that also didn't work out. I mean, that's the story. After that, we've been making shorts and documentaries
Right.
and all that.
Rajiv, it doesn't surprise me at all that the oldest film production house in India that is continuing to make films is from Calcutta. Although the information is new to me, also because Calcutta has had a very long tradition of filmmaking, almost as old as Bombay itself. And so many of them used to actually work in Calcutta and Bombay at the same time, from whether it's a Bimal Roy, down to those times, the new theatre was a big one as well. What happened at some point, especially post Ray, that Tollywood, as we call it, which is the Tollygun's film industry, was not as mainstream as it used to be, and even in the art house there. What happened? What change took place? We don't hear. I think there was of course Ritupurna Ghosh, and we've had a few others as well. Ritupurna would be a great example later, but it's not that film industry anymore.
Yeah, of course. First, I'll share a trivia, then I'll answer
Yes,
your question. Like Aurora Film Corporation, before it used to be a filmmaking company, it used to be a film exhibiting company. And they started in 1905, 1906. That time there were tents and they were showing films, like from abroad and reels made here, and they were showing. From there, they graduated to making the first Bengali short film, which was around in 1917, 18 at that time. So coming back to your question, so what happened post Ray and say post Miran Sen was, I believe, like Bengali cinema got divided into two parts. One was this really great art house cinema, which was not bringing in money. And then there was because Bengal.
Unlike Ray, who was commercially successful pretty much
Uh,
throughout his career.
some of his films
Commercial-
were
Commercially
successful, not
successful.
really.
In Bengal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his films used to always make money.
No, not all the films. Some of
Most
his
the films, yeah.
some of his films made money, but not all the films. And so these art house films were not bringing in the money. And Bengal was always, they were not so great like business wise. So there was not enough like great money to begin with.
Right.
So like even at the golden age of Bengali cinema, when all the Hindi cinemas would be like copied from Bengali original films, the budget of the Hindi films would be much bigger. So, so the commercial Bengali cinema, which started happening, which was not, those were really low budget films, and they were earning back the money. The industry used to like run because of them. So these two, this division, where there was once there at one side there is this intellectual film, which a majority of the audience doesn't relate to, and on the other side there is this mass cinema, which lacks cinematic quality. This conflict between the two, I believe, it made a lot of harm to Bengali cinema, and we're still trying to like bridge the gap, and we have not yet been able to reach there.
As it happened with Hindi films, there was a merging of the mainstream and parallel screen at some point or the other. Make your story.
First of all, thanks. Such a lovely audience. Thank you, guys. Like these guys, it's not my first feature. It's my third. The last one was my first. I come from a small town in Maharashtra called Aurangabad, and my exposure to films was pretty much hardcore Bollywood throughout. My uncle had a video cassette library. And,
Interesting.
that was my kind of first.
Tarantino.
Yeah,
First.
Tarantino, Ram Gopal Verma, Madhur Bhandarkar, quite a few of them
Yeah,
actually.
that's August company to be in, but
Yeah.
so that was the first exposure to cinema, so to say, and watching a lot of those films. And then I went on to, like all Maharashtrian middle class boys, that it was a choice between engineering and medicine, and I just chose engineering because this seemed easier at that point. And then I went to the hostel. I was studying in Pune, a place called Baramati near Pune, and that is when the internet had like arrived, and torrents were like a big deal, and that's where I was truly exposed to the films that inspire me. And around I think the second year of engineering is when I decided that I'm not going to do this and do something else. And so I ended up being like the black sheep of a like family chock full of PhDs, and that was a very tough kind of decision for my parents as well as for overall society to take. But I went on with it. I went to film school in Sydney, and I returned and I made my first feature film. It was a neo noir film. It was unheard of in Marathi as a genre. So it was very hard to find funding for that film. I went to around 50 financiers, established, non-established, uncle, friends, father-in-law. I tried every avenue that's possible. And finally, I think Girish Kulkarni was who had signed on to act in the film. Umesh and him, they just said that, listen, you know what, we just produce it ourselves. And that's how the first film came to be. And since then, it's just been, it just happens. I think miraculously one fine day somebody decides to make the film, and the film happens.
Right. I mean, of course, in your case, what's different is that while you're from Mumbai, that's where you operate from. Mumbai is the show business capital of India in many ways, but Mumbai is also the capital of Maharashtra, which is where Marathi cinema will come from eventually. Now, there is a Bollywood and there is Marathi cinema. How do they coexist in that same space?
They technically don't coexist. They really
Okay.
fight to coexist. And that's like for screens, for for audience gratification, for everything. I think it's
And
just
for
that
producers as well?
for producers, for everything. I think it's very difficult. I think now the newer crop of Tati Filmmakers, Nagaraj, we just decided to kind of start producing our own stuff. So Godavari we produced ourselves. It just gives us more control over how the film is to be released, over how the film is to be marketed. Otherwise, what happens, I think, which is probably the biggest challenge
for Marathi cinema is the fact that we have to compete with Hindi, now Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, all films in our kind of home ground.
Sorry, what's the competition?
It's for screens. It's for basically for screens. It's predominantly in the theatrical business. Because the marketing budgets are limited. So, and of course, the films don't have that kind of pull. Even a hardcore Marathi audience would prefer to watch a Hindi film on the first Friday, and that's
Choice.
yeah. So there's more choice. So the playing field is more like violent. But that said, I think things are looking up, and the good thing is that there is a constant inflow of good Marathi cinema that keeps us one film every 2 or 3 years that manages to kind of
The sense I get in Kantara was, of course, in some way a turning point. I think Bengali cinema is still waiting for a Kantara, sort of a Kantara moment. Was Sairat a moment for Marathi films in terms of how huge it became and how it was loved across the state and, of course, mainstream otherwise as well?
absolutely. I think what Saira did for Marathi cinema is that it made us aware of the fact that there is an audience that can
There's an inventory, right? You can make
and unlike Kantara, I think Sairat never really became a nationwide sensation. It did that business in Maharashtra alone. So we were just made aware of the fact that there is 100 crore audience for a Marathi film, which is Marathi people predominantly, which was unheard of. And now recently another Marathi film did around 80 crores. It's only in Maharashtra, it's Bike One Bhari Diva. So I think it's just the fact that there is a ticket paying audience of that volume in one state alone. And I think this holds true for all states in India. That it's just